and I titled it The Struggling Farmer. The Struggling Farmer. The Struggling. Okay, how do I do this? Okay. Farmer. Good evening, sir. The stress is bearable. Sir, awesome. It has to be bearable. The struggling. The stress is showing on my face. Yeah, we mean, I just finished having a long lecture with my young guys on the farm, and after that, I had to rush quickly to the park house. We are doing some export tomorrow, so just to say well done to the guys working, not like I actually went there, but just to just distract them and of course encourage them a bit. And now I'm back to the office. I think there are lots of reflections on my glasses, so I need to turn on all lights. So yeah, and if this is better, the struggling farmer. Hi, good. Hi, Mavi. How you doing? So it's a conversation I titled The Struggling Farmer. And the reason I chose this topic is because I have seen a lot of farmers. I mean, I was not going to do live, but I gave an illustration in class today, and I feel, I mean, the class was already coming to an end before I gave the illustration, and that was what inspired this conversation, the struggling farmer. I know a lot of us know lots of young farmers. I'm more concerned about the young generation farmers who are passing through one struggle or the other, who are finding it hard to make ends meet and all of that. And there is the whole, oh, Nigeria is not working for me, things are not working, why am I not lucky? It feels like some people are just having everything easy while you are having everything hard. And you might even be getting to that point where you are feeling discouraged. And as a matter of fact, you might be getting to that point where if you say you are discouraged and you want to give up, people would even understand and sympathize or empathize and not blame you for throwing in the towel. It is even possible that you can give up and people understand why you had to give up. That people will understand why you had to say, see, Tito, I'm tired. It's even possible that you have valid, in quotes, reasons why you should give up. It is possible that you have reasons that are logically sensible why you need to give up. Hey, Anastasia, love, how you doing? How are you? How are you? That if you give up, it actually makes sense why you need to give up. But you see, that is only one part of the reality. For those of us who goes to church, there are two parts of the scripture that I know I have heard a lot and lot of people quote, but they are not able to understand, or maybe they understand, but they do not comprehend the statement, or they do not, good evening, ma, food safety, good evening, ma. Reading 26, good evening. Maybe they do not comprehend what they quote when they quote it. So it just sounds like a random statement, but they are not really able to comprehend what they are saying, to understand the depth of what they are quoting. I will say it will make sense, hopefully. I think it was Paul that was speaking, and Paul said, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospereth. Right? Meaning, he was basically saying, in good health. So he was not just saying prosper in your pocket. He was saying, my wish is you prosper in your pocket as you prosper in your health. He said, even as your soul prospers, meaning the foundation of this prosperity is predicated, hi Felix Ibe, is predicated on the prosperity of the soul. And I think for me, that was instructive, because if he had said, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in good health, even as your spiritual life prospers, I will understand that I need, hey Abibat, good evening, I need to be spiritually strong to get prosperity. Remember, in the past, I have taught this before, that you do not need God to prosper. Prosperity is about principles. We said that in the past. And remember that yesterday in my conversation using Cain, we talked about the fact that God caused Cain. Cain was driven out of the presence of God, driven away from his parents. He went to a bare land. But when we looked at the end of his life, Cain ended his life by building a city. So, meaning, man does not need God to build wealth. Wealth is governed by principles. So, back to what I was saying, it would have been different if he said, oh, I wish that thou mayest prosper and be in good health, even as your spirit prospers. We will know that this has to do with spirituality. We will know that this has to deal with spiritual matters. But what it said was, I wish that thou mayest prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospereth, your soul. And then the question then becomes, what is the soul? What is the soul? Because if he is saying, I wish that you prosper even as your soul prospers, I need to know, Mr. Joseph, good evening, sir. I need to know what is the soul that needs to prosper. Because if my prosperity and my health are based on the prosperity of my soul, then what is the soul? Third John, okay, thank you, man. What is the soul? Because if I know what the soul is, I will then now have an inclination to know, for me to get out of this financial struggle, what do I need to get my soul to, that my soul prospers? Because it says, I wish that thou mayest prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. So, my prosperity in finance and health is predicated first on the prosperity of my soul. And when you check the real definition of soul, it talks about your consciousness. Your consciousness your consciousness resides in your soul. Your consciousness. And when we talk about the consciousness of man, we are referring to his mind. His mind. A part of him that he can control. His mind. His mind. I'm going somewhere. And if I understand that this consciousness has to do with the mind, the question then becomes, what is the prosperity of the mind? Remember, in another part, it says, as a man thinketh, because your mind is the consciousness, your thoughts is done in your consciousness. As a man thinketh, so is he. So, my ability to think, how I think, shapes my reality with time. My thinking shapes my reality. There was a video I posted early this morning from Mr. Makinwa. I loved that video so much when I saw it. Why did I love that video with a passion? She said, Nigeria will happen to you. And she said, or Nigeria will happen. And she said, there are a lot of people that have said Nigeria will happen to me in a bad connotation. Thank you all the way from Kaduna State. Thank you for joining. In a bad connotation. But she said, there are people in Nigeria who Nigeria has favored. And she said, because they have chosen that Nigeria will favor them, they are not cursing the land. They are not belittling the land. They are not putting down the land. The struggling farmer. Because you see, as a farmer, you cannot succeed beyond what you know. You cannot succeed as a farmer beyond what you know. You can't. Because for you to say you want to prosper financially, the first question is, what do you know? What do you know? What information do you have? Hi, Bok Choy, good evening. What information do you have that others do not have? Information is a leverage. Information is a leverage. Information is an advantage. If information is a separator. Where you are is a reflection of what you know. Or better put, where you are is a reflection of what you know, and that you are practicing. Farmer Dave, good evening all the way from Plato. Thank you for joining. I know Miss Bok Choy on Instagram is also in Plato. So when he says, thou mayest prosper and be the good head, even as your soul prospereth, it is assuming that you have chosen to feed your mind. Jesus had 12 disciples based on the record of the Bible. One betrayed, another person was replaced, and he was replaced. But none of them wrote 1/3 of the New Testament. It was Paul that did not meet Jesus that wrote 1/3 of the New Testament. He wrote the most scriptures in the New Testament. Why was he able to write? He had a mind that could think. He had a prosperity of the mind. He was not just an ordinary, he was not a fisherman, he was a lawyer, he was learned, he could be used. Hi, Sandra. So, first, the reason we struggle is our knowledge. You don't understand from Assam, you will say that you don't understand. I don't have money for fertilizer, I don't have this, I don't have that. The question first is, what knowledge are you using to run? What information do you have? What information do you have? Was it 2 weeks ago or so, tax reform was brought out, for example. The question is, when the tax reform was brought out, listening to all of the Nigeria TV stations, from Channels to Arise, everybody kept saying, this tax reform will benefit the poor. This tax reform will help the middle class, will help the poor. It is going to help the poor people to be rich. But the question is, do you even have information to know how it can help you? Hi, Katia from India. Thank you for joining. Joseph from Oshun, thank you for joining. Do you even have the right information to know? Because you all heard tax reform, tax reform, tax reform. Do you know how to use it to help you? The answer is no. So it means there could be a policy change that can take you out of struggle to wealth, but if you are not prosperous in understanding that policy change, your situation will not change, though there are conditions that have been created to make life better. Though there are systems in place to make your life better, but things will still not change. Because I am sure a lot of us heard it. The new tax reforms are good. The new tax reform will help the poor. The new tax reform will take the poor out. The question is, do the poor even understand the tax reforms? So, if there are good taxation laws that has now been enacted and signed into law, but you do not understand it, your poverty will not change. The poverty will not change because you do not have the right information on how to use what is available. What was this guy's name that made the statement? Information